Good
every
evening.
year.
Welcome to the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees meeting. Today is Monday, December 28. So if you are watching live on Monday, December 28, we encourage you to call in if you have any questions or comments. The call-in number is 769-1677. Again, if you're watching live on December 28, 769-1677. You can also watch us live on web streaming at pctv76.org, and also pick up meetings afterwards on demand. So our next scheduled meeting is a work session on Monday, January 4 at 7 p.m., and our next regular meeting is Monday, January 11 at 8 p.m., with a work session proceeding at 7 p.m. So thank you, any of you who are watching here, the last meeting of 2009. We wish all of you a happy new year and hope the holiday season has gone well. I had a few announcements to make, but did anyone else want to make an announcement of any
Kind of seem like we should have kazoos and party hats on.
Exactly. Well, that ought to be.
That's the 4th.
That's the, or after after the motion to adjourn.
Well, I wanted to mention the Community Scholarship Fund is having their annual Wizards basketball tournament, which the village board usually partakes in, but I'm getting some resistance this year. And it is at Pace at 7 p.m. on January 22nd, so everybody should come out for that. I am announcing it again. So it's always a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good sports out there, and hopefully some of these guys will step up to the plate. I won't give you bad nicknames unless you don't step up to the plate.
A baseball metaphor for a basketball game.
Yes. Or
We note with great happiness your contribution of your vocal skills
that's
to
right.
the basketball.
My screechy voice once again this year.
So that'll be at Pace instead of at the high school
Right.
because of the construction that's going
Right.
on.
It's the 7 p.m. January 22nd. And you don't have to worry. You don't even get the ball. You stand there and they make fun of you, and then you walk down the. It's really no big deal. Bernie scored 2 baskets last year, right? He did. He scored 2 baskets.
I'll tell you what, if
They
you
were
play in a
3-point.
chicken suit, I'll do the announcing.
I have a couple of points I wanted to make on a more serious note. One is, as many of you are aware, we've been in an ongoing struggle with Con Edison over their tree cutting program in 2 areas. One, what they call the distribution line trimming, and that is on village streets, trimming around telephone poles. The other is the transmission line clearing, and that is a separate group of people doing separate work to clear vegetation around the high tension wires. As any of you have watched in the past, we had an extraordinary day of devastation at Nanahagan Park a few weeks back when Con Edison came and cut down an awful lot of trees, in our view, indiscriminately. They asserted initially that it was on their property. We believe with pretty good confidence at this point they're wrong about that, and it was our property. We have allowed them to come back into the village in a very limited way on the transmission lines. I say allowed them. It's partly a matter of their ongoing discussion with us. They assert that they have the right to do what they have to do without our approval. But as of the moment, they are trimming around transmission lines, those being the high tension wires, in a very limited way, a distance of about 45 feet. They do have much grander plans, and we continue to be in negotiation about it. Many neighborhoods have been upset about what's going on around on their village streets, and we continue to chase Con Edison wherever we can. We're in negotiation with Con Edison about some sort of compensation for the damage done to our park, and hope to have that resolved within the next couple of weeks. But in the meantime, we have retained a law firm to do a title search in order to make certain that we know exactly who owns what in the vicinity of the transmission lines. Turns out to be an interesting kind of tangled history dating back to the precursors to Con Edison and New York City when they came through with the aqueduct and a whole series of interesting things. But we feel pretty confident that the work they did on the trees around our park was for the most part done on our property, and I think we can say with confidence at this point we will get some compensation for that. And when we have a resolution of that, we will let you know. In the meantime, my advice to everybody is, if you see a Con Edison truck and guys with chainsaws anywhere near trees you care about, get outside and talk to them, because we have been beaten on them literally on a daily basis through Village Hall, through Public Works, and they believe they have to do what they have to do. My own personal opinion is that their work goes far beyond what can reasonably be attributed to maintaining a reliable system.
They have identified, they have walked what they have left with our DPW guys, and I have identified what they're doing. So it's should be of no surprise to us, because we have walked through this with them. I mean, I know that.
What are you talking about, the street?
The street.
Street trees?
The street,
Right.
not the high-tension wires, but, well, we did walk with them on the high-tension wires by Broadway also. Steve did, and I know Mario had walked the whole, or driven the circuit on the streets with the Con Edison people, and they identified what they were gonna cut and when they were gonna cut it, and they identified certain decorative trees that they weren't going to really trim back as much as they normally do, and there was a whole discussion that took place. So it's not like things haven't been discussed.
Right.
I think that's important.
They certainly have been discussed, and everybody is in three-point position to try to respond to this, and I agree with what Mindy said. I still think that the reality is our best mission at this point is for everybody who has an interest in this to grab their pants leg with their teeth and not let go until you feel as though you've gotten as
Well,
much
also, if you got a
as you
door
can.
hanger with a number on it, call it if you have a question. You need to call that number and find out what's going on. I think most people have, but they reissued those also.
Yes, thank you.
So,
The other point I wanted to bring up is, some of you may have read about this in an article that was in the Examiner, but the town council in Mount Pleasant has just passed the budget for next year. They're on a different fiscal year cycle than we are, a calendar year budget. Villages are on a June calendar year, a June fiscal year. This year, for a variety of reasons, the town council in Mount Pleasant instituted a tax on the incorporated villages. That includes both the village of Pleasantville and the village of Sleepy Hollow. For quite some years running, there has been no tax on the villages, and this year they have added a new tax that they assert for the average homeowner will be a tax of about $65 a year. So that's a new tax that has been instituted by the town. All of us who are residents of the village are also residents of the town, and the town has the right to levy a tax if it deems it necessary. I talked to Supervisor Meehan about this and expressed my concern that although clearly it's their decision, it's not a decision of this board. I was sorry that we found out about it through the newspaper as opposed to hearing about it directly from them. He indicated that their primary reason for doing it was a shortfall in mortgage recording tax. At times when mortgage recording tax has come through in substantial amounts, they haven't felt the need to tax the villages. For the coming year, when the mortgage recording tax is way down, he asserted that that's their primary reason. So at any rate, it makes clear that all of us as village residents are also town residents, and we have an interest in the goings-on of the town as well as the goings-on of the village. And I encourage all of you to take a look at the Town of Mount Pleasant website periodically, see what's going on in their agendas, and make your voice heard if you have issues or concerns. Lastly,
Well, and I think, I mean, to that point of mortgage recording tax, the village gets some of that revenue too from mortgage recording taxes on its own. That line, that revenue line goes down for us as well. And we can't tax anybody else for it, like the town of Mount Pleasant can. So to keep their taxes low, they pass that extra budget amount on to us, not as a tax, but as a levy. And so now we're paying more to make up for our mortgage recording tax shortfall, as well as the levy from the town of Mount Pleasant. Something just doesn't seem fair here. So,
I think we should tax Newcastle or something.
yeah, right.
well, at
You
any
can't do
rate,
that?
that is that tax, which, as I say, Mount Pleasant asserts averages about $65 for a home of average assessed value, will appear on the once-a-year bill where you pay your county, town, fire district, and ambulance corps taxes. So
Just what you need, right?
it's just helpful, I think, for everybody to understand where their tax dollars are being spent and
You
who's
said it
taxing
would be
them. So
about $65 a household, is that?
They indicated that a home of average assessment would pay about $65. So if you have a higher assessment than average, you'll pay more, and a lower assessment than average, you would pay less. So, other update I wanted to give you is that we have been back and forth in rather intense discussions with the people at Verizon regarding the FiOS franchise agreement, and we'll have an executive session after this meeting to further discuss it. I expressed some optimism a month or so ago that we might be having a public hearing at this point, and I am sorry to report that we're not having a public hearing. We have encouraged Verizon to come forward, make a formal application, and begin the public hearing process. Verizon has declined to do that for a variety of reasons up until this point, and they are seeking some assurances of various kinds from the village board. I can say that I think all 5 of us are extremely frustrated by some of the stances they have taken, and we will be having a further discussion about that tonight. I invited John Butler, who is the Westchester Verizon representative for government relations, to come to this meeting tonight, either in work session or in public session, and state in a public way the comments he has been making in a private setting, and he has declined to attend, so I note that for the record. Anybody else have anything to add?
I'd like to add a few things about that, but I don't think I'm allowed to.
Okay. That being said, let's go to the resolution. Steve.
Resolution 2009-238, approval of pre-check register. Resolved that pre-check register dated December 28, 2009, covering check numbers not listed, has been reviewed and hereby listed as below. Miscellaneous revenue fund, $305.07. General fund, $134,639.73. Water fund, $12,306.35. Capital fund, $27,317.63. Refuse fund, $15,796.58. Pool fund, $201.26. Trust and agency fund, $10,450. And a total of $201,016.62.
Is there a second?
Second,
Anybody have any comments or questions?
I had a question about the charge of street opening deposits. What is that?
We take deposits from contractors, sometimes from utility companies, and anybody that needs to open a public road. And we hold on to those until a certain period of time has passed after they restore the road and we are able to determine that the road hasn't resettled or there hasn't been a problem from the patching that they've done. Then we return the money. So typically at the end of the year, we'll clean out those accounts.
So all the work that, was it Con Ed that did on Marble Avenue?
Con Ed has to post a bond and also a deposit it, and they do it in a bulk fee. We draw down from their money. They usually put like $10,000 on account. But these are mostly smaller projects, residential projects, maybe new water connections or sewer work in front of people's houses, and those types of things.
Okay, that's my question. Thank you.
Oh, well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Indeed.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees has reviewed the minutes of the meeting held on Monday, December 14th, 2009, and they are hereby approved.
Is there a second? Second. Comments or corrections? All in favor?
Aye.
Is it appropriate for me to abstain as I wasn't there? I know you can actually
You can always approve.
approve.
Yeah, you don't have to be.
We have 3 voters, I think I'll abstain.
Okay. Motion approved. Brian.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby accepts a donation from the Pulmonary Rehabilitation Program at Phelps Memorial Hospital in memory of Roberta Cicchetti in the amount of $70 for senior programs at the Clinton Street Senior Center.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are grateful for this and thank the Pulmonary Rehab Program at Phelps. Roberta Cicchetti is a person who was a very active member of our community and of our senior programs for a very long time, and are delighted to think that the Phelps program has wanted to make this contribution in her memory. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved.
2009-241, resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, based upon the recommendation of the Police Chief, hereby approves Randy DiPaolo for an unpaid internship with the Pleasantville Police Department beginning in the spring of 2010.
Is there a second?
Second.
We thank Randy DiPaolo for volunteering to do this. Our police chief is an adjunct, is he an adjunct professor at Pace in criminal justice, and as a result of of his work at Pace is able to feed to the department a steady stream of interns, which obviously benefits both the interns and provides the village with some assistance at no charge. So thanks to Randy for coming. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That being the last of our 4 resolutions on this quiet holiday week, did anybody else have anything to add?
No?
Nope.
Can't think of anything to delay us
Well, it's
further.
all right, we don't have to delay.
We wish all Pleasantvilleans a very good 2010. Happy New Year. Again, we look forward to seeing you. We have a work session on Monday the 4th, and then our next regular session is on Monday, January 11th. Thanks to all. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Beat me to the
Well,
I
happy New Year.
know, twice.